I think it's about time we heard from some of our customers directly, don't you, Ravi?
Absolutely.
Why don't we
Take my word for it.
Why don't we start with one of our earliest customers, M-Platform, a pioneer in the ad tech industry, an industry where customer engagement is the industry. Please give a very warm hand to the Senior Vice President of Technical Operations at M-Platform, Chris Chatterton. Thank you.
Welcome, Chris.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? So I just want to touch on one thing Matt had said about the revolutionary for the digital age. So 2017 will be the first time in the United States that digital spend will outpace TV spend. TV spend is forecast to be around $72 billion, which is about 35% of the overall advertising market. And digital spend will be $77 billion in the United States alone. So, M-Platform. M-Platform is a Group M company. Not sure, there we go. So Group M is the world's largest media investment group, doing $102 billion in billings. So they're handling a huge amount of money globally. And I remember reading a stat that said 1 in 3 advertisements, either it be print, radio, TV, internet, was actually going through Group M. So it's an incredible feat that Group M has done to corral the entire advertising industry.
How far behind are we? 15 minutes.
Now, M-Platform, is not going fast enough. So at the slides are all messed up. There we go. So M-Platform is actually a brand new company. They were formed in January of this year, and it was formed to allow Turbine, which was the main application, which is now called Insights. They've rebranded all the applications that we had to provide services and media to the Group M agencies. They took the core technology inside of Xaxis, which was Turbine, which is Zeus, Xanadu, and they elevated up into the Group M level so that the agencies would actually have more visibility into the application and the data that's associated with it. Now, at the core of M-Platform is knowing your audience. That's what drives M-Platform altogether, and it's more for putting the right ad in front of the right person at the right time. And that is the value and the proposition of M-Platform being able to provide to their advertiser and the end users. And at the heart of M-Platform is what we call MID, formerly called XID, but now MID, which is the new rebrand. And it powers M-Insights, which was Turbine. It powers M-Analytics, which is the old Zeus and Analytic database, M-Activate, M-Reports. And MID is a unified and privacy-friendly consumer ID that acts as a connector for client data across the media landscape. We collect first-party and third-party data. We then do an event-level data merge across media planning, activation, and verification platforms, and then we create highly optimized audience segmentations that we then push in real time to the DSPs, such as Videology, Trade Desk, AppNexus, Google, DoubleClick, all of the DSPs in the marketplace. M-Insights has a global reach. We're in over 50 markets and still launching in new markets. It seems like every month there's a new market coming online. But what's interesting is that we have 1.1 billion addressable users that we can target on a daily basis, which is an incredible amount of people. And that powers the advertising for the agencies. Now, we had some big challenges when we developed Turbine. We were, when we were Xaxis, about 5 years ago is when we actually started developing the product. We were coming off of selling off our OAS platform, which is the ad serving delivery system, And we used, Oracle, Exadata, we had Netezza, Teradata, and it was very, let's say, very hard to scale at a cost-effective pace. So we were told to use disruptive technologies, use commodity hardware, use a shared nothing architecture versus the traditional Oracle application suites that they have. And then for our document store, for where we were going to hold the MID, to have sub-millisecond response rates, which was key, and the ability to handle high, large, and very different array of documents, and then to be able to scale out through the system as we grew. So we were able to take Couchbase, which actually came into play towards when we first started developing the product, we were looking at different technologies. And we had tested 3, 4, 5 different technologies to be able to provide the performance that we wanted. And Couchbase actually was one of the last ones that we actually tested against others such as Aerospike. And they actually exceeded all of our expectations as far as performance. And we were able to get sub-millisecond performance within the document store that we wanted to launch globally. We were also able to implement it inside what we call M-Core. So M-Core is actually the heart, and inside of that heart is the actual MID. So all of the transactions that do enrichment of advertisements, does consumer profiles, are all going through what we call MID or M-Core. And then we're able to then take this data, report on it, do analytical on it, and also do predictive analysis on this data that we then give back to the advertisers so that they can see how their advertisements are performing across the region, and then they can continuously, in real time, optimize those campaigns to get the a bigger bang for their dollar. Now globally, we're doing, across all of our platform, about 8.5 billion events per day, about 255 billion events per month, and we've grown 2x year over year for the last 3 years. And it's been very challenging to be able to keep up with that growth. But now, since we've elevated into the Group M platform, we are now expecting 3x growth now in the next 18 months. If I talk to some of the product managers and some of the marketing guys, they actually are very, very optimistic, and they're telling me it could be upwards of 5x growth in the next 18 months, or even higher than that. So incredible growth in such a short period of time we've experienced. Now, in order to handle all of this growth, we have 3 data centers that we operate in, and then we also do an extensive AWS deployment out there. And the reason why that we have 3 specific in the geographical regions is from a privacy perspective, to make sure that the data that we collect from the users stay in that region. So data collected for the United States will stay in North American region. When we collect data from in Europe, it's going to stay in Europe, and stuff that we collect in the Hong Kong region or APAC region is going to stay in that region. And then we're about to launch our 4th data center, which is China. Matter of fact, we actually just signed the contracts the other day. Actually, this morning I signed other contracts for the equipment, so we're actually projecting the end of July and August to launch the data center in China. And there's some specific reasons why we're choosing China, and that is because they're about to launch the new privacy laws inside of China that states that the Chinese data needs to stay inside of China. And if it's in Hong Kong, you're actually breaking the law inside of China. So we'll be following all of the rules and regulations throughout the region. Now, we're also projecting that the data center in China is going to be, if not bigger, than the United States. Considering that there's over 1 billion people that live in China, they're all connected, it's a very mobile environment there. They are expecting huge growth within the Chinese market, and they're expecting it very quickly, like in the next 6 months, that once we launch the data center, all of a sudden the data is just going to explode. Now, within each one of these data centers, from a Couchbase configuration perspective, we've split out into 2 clusters. Right? We have what we call the MID cluster, which handles all of the user profile and the enrichment of the data that's inside of the database, and then also the dynamic cluster. We have about 127 total nodes globally, and we're finishing up our upgrading of all of our servers. So we've actually increased the amount of memory that are inside of each one of the servers. We've actually doubled the amount of memory, and we're actually going to then up the number of servers that we put into each one of these clusters. We'll max out probably around 28 nodes for the MID, 20 nodes for the dynamic cluster, and the reason why we keep it at those numbers is to make sure that we continue with the sub-millisecond performance rates that we actually need to be able to do these enrichment of the user profiles to then create these segments to then push out into the DSPs. So we've had incredible growth over the last year. Like I just said, we're in the process of upgrading all of the servers and adding more capacity. But just a year ago, on our US cluster, we were doing less than 10,000 IOPS per second, and we're now doing over 840,000 IOPS per second. We've had about 1.2 billion 1.9 billion documents in the store, and now it's over 15 billion. And in the UK, we've had similar performance, where we've been around 9,000 IOPS per second, and now we're upwards of 830,000 IOPS per second. And the document increase has gone up tremendously as well, from 250 million to, 1.2 billion to 12 billion documents in the store. Now, in order to maintain the performance that we're getting, we need to work more closely with Couchbase. And we've been in lots of discussions with Ravi, with Steve and Bob about working more closely together, because in order for us to succeed, we need for Couchbase to succeed. And they need to understand exactly how we're using their application that powers our business, so that we ensure that we are putting that right ad in front of the right person at the right time. It's very critical. The advertising industry is actually very fickle. People complain if the right ad is not delivered when it's supposed to be delivered. They pay a lot of money to ensure that they get the audience segmentation that they want to target. And it's very, very specialized data that they're using. And so we're going to be working a lot more closely with Couchbase to keep up with how we use the system, so that we can scale the system past the number of clusters that we have, past the number of servers that we have, while still maintaining the exact performance that we've always had. And then also work together on new function and feature sets, so that we can grow our business for you guys to grow along us for the feature sets that we actually need to power our business. And then we have to just keep pushing to maintain the sub-millisecond performance, because that is really a key driving factor for us in the application. Without that sub-millisecond performance, we would not be able to deliver these segments in a timely manner to the DSPs that the advertisers are expecting. And that's about all I have. So, thank you very much.